Hello there, welcome back to Planet Zoo. Thank you very much for joining me today. And we are here in a new series that I'm starting. This is called Ziran Zoo. I'm not actually sure if that's how you pronounce it. It's a Chinese word and it means nature or natural. I believe nature actually is the accurate translation. So it's Nature Zoo. And it's come about because of something that I was trying to do in one of my other zoos. So if you followed my channel and you saw my other zoo series called Opal Zoo, you'll know that I was trying to create a zoo with various zones, all very heavily themed based on different areas of the world. And unfortunately I had to stop this zoo a bit early because my computer just couldn't handle the amount of items that I was putting into the zoo, and it just lagged too much and I couldn't run it properly. So I decided to stop where I was. I'd done an Australian area, a South American area, an African area and an aquatic area. And the last two areas that I was attempting to do were an Arctic area and an Asian area. And so what I decided was to, certainly with the Asian area, was to have a go at doing an entire new zoo as an Asian zoo. So an entire zoo based in Asia with all the Asian animals and Asian architecture and all that sort of thing. So that's what I'm doing here, hence why I've chosen a Chinese name for the zoo. Obviously I appreciate Asia is a much bigger area than just China, but I did a lot of browsing and I decided that I liked the name Ziran, and obviously I wanted it to mean something, which is why I went for a translation of the word nature. So here we are. This is the start of our new zoo, and what I've done, I've used one of the new randomly generated maps, because terrain is one of the hardest things to do in this game. And when you start a normal game, it's just a big flat map. It's very easy to make your zoo just spread out, stay flat, and not really make terrain a big part of the zoo. And I'm not very good at it. I'll be honest, I'm just not very good at doing good looking terrain. It's very hard to do, especially when it comes to pathways. The pathing in this game at times is brilliant, but at times it's absolutely terrible. It's incredibly hard to make paths that use terrain and go up and down hills, and sort of even just over small mounds. They can end up looking really dodgy, and half the time they just don't work. The game doesn't let you build them, and you can't even make it so it flattens out the land around your path. You can only do it so it tunnels it and it creates massive gaps. And the angles of the path aren't very good either. So if you're actually building a sloped path into the air, it's a very steep angle. There are ways around that, but very long-winded ways. So yeah, so it can be very hard to use terrain effectively in the game, basically, is what I'm saying. So what I've done for the first time is randomly generate a map, and this is what it's come up with. And I really like this. I like how it does it. I'm guessing, I mean, this is the only one I've done, so I don't know if this is really how it works, but it looks like it basically picks an area. So here you can see it's generated a big mountain, then it's done another one, and then over here it's done a mountain with a bit of a dry lake around it. Then over here it's another hill. Here it's a bigger hill. You've got a little mound here, and then here you've got this amazing looking thing. This obviously is just begging for a bit of water to go in, and then you've got like a cave at the back and this big mountain here. This is fantastic. This is better than anything I could have designed. And so I'm guessing that's how it's designed. So it doesn't do the whole map. It just picks an area and then says, right, what am I putting in this area? And then this, like this bit here, it's just said, right, what am I doing? I'm just doing a hill here. In this one, I'm going to do a raised area with a dry lake bed. This one here is pretty cool. You've got a nice sort of area here, potential water in there, and then you've got these lovely hilltops. But look, it's actually put a pretty good-sized cave in here as well. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's really, really, really good. Like I said, this is the only one I've done, so I don't know if I've got lucky with how it's generated this one. But I basically said to myself, right, I'm gonna do it once, and I'm not gonna keep redoing it until I find something I'm happy with. I'm just going to use the first one, and this was it. And this is fantastic. I mean, I was very happy with this. I mean, it's given me a good variety of different bits of terrain to use. So yeah, really happy with the result here. So my plan, obviously, I'm going to use the entrance here, and I'm going to create a new sort of large entrance area with some big Chinesey themed gates to actually let you into the zoo. And then, because of the idea behind the zoo is nature, I'm going to be doing quite large habitats, very, very natural, so not too many sort of structures and things. Basically, each of these areas of terrain is going to be a habitat. So you can tell straight away, some of them are going to be large. I mean, this one here, it's going to cover all of that in one habitat. This one here will be all of this in one habitat. Then I'll have that lake there, I'll have that hill, this cool, whatever you want to call this here, and then this little mound as well. So there's not going to be a huge number of animals in the zoo. It may be that some of these enclosures have more than one animal in. I'm thinking certainly the lake over here, because this will become a lake with an island in the middle without a doubt. But I want it to be that the animals are living in very natural environments, and they have an awful lot of space to run around in. So it's more like a nature reserve than it is a zoo. That's the idea, because realistically, when you go to some zoos, you can walk around for ages and ages and not see many animals because they're hiding. You know, and that's how animals should be kept in zoos. I'm a big fan of zoos. Certainly modern zoos anyway, certainly in England, because they're all about conservation and breeding programs to try and save endangered species, but they're also about giving the animals an environment which is as natural to them as possible. And if the animals want to get away from the people and go somewhere secret, generally they can, and I think that's a very good thing. I really do. So that's my idea here, is that the animals are going to have huge areas to roam around. And quite frankly, if the people are walking around and they don't get to see them, they're just going to have to keep on walking and keep on looking. So that's the plan. So let me crack on and do some building. So today's episode is just going to be this opening area here. I'm very happy with how it turned out, because I've already done it. You know how I record some of these videos. I do my building first, and then I come back and do my commentaries. So I've already built it. I'm very happy with how it's turned out. So basically, it's a large area at the start of the park here. Yeah, quite heavily themed, and it's just like a big walk-through area with a big set of gates that sort of Jurassic World style, Jurassic Park style, sort of leading you into the adventure beyond the gates kind of thing. So without further delay, let me load up my first save point and show you what I started with. Okay, so you can tell here I started off by building the largest and most complicated part of the whole entrance area, which is the big gates that lead you through into the zoo itself. And I've gone heavy theming here. So let me tell you roughly how I've done this. So obviously in the construction menu you can highlight just Asian items. So I decided to go with this lovely stonework, and these are the angled pieces here. So when you get them on the corner here, they make these lovely angled corner pieces, which I really like. I don't like the straight pieces. I try to avoid them as much as I can. I just love the angled aspects that you get with these pieces, and then these lovely roof pieces as well with the little cool things at the end. I don't know what you call them, but again, it's all about angles and the shapes. Absolutely fantastic pieces, very simple. And then just another layer up at the top here, and then a simple roof. So it's a very simple design. Obviously you've got some lights on the outside. Put one of these little pointy bits on the top here. What I always do whenever I do these, I put a second one underneath upside down there, because obviously if that second one wasn't there, it just ends here, and it doesn't look very good. So I turn one upside down as well, so it looks like one solid piece coming out of the roof there. simple windows on the top. I love this piece. This is a cool piece. I'm going to be using this one a lot, and I really wanted that on the front here, so I've just sunk that on there, and then I put these large impressive doors down below. Obviously they don't do anything, they don't lead in anywhere. This is your basic gate coming in here. I just love the look of these things. I love the red theme. Obviously red, you can tell I'm going with the red theme. It's a very what's the word I'm looking for? Not generic, cliched Asian look, isn't it? This bright red paint. I don't know if it's just in movies and TV shows that everything is painted red in Asia, but it looks good. So that's why I've gone with that. I'll confess now that this piece in the middle here is an in-game piece, and I don't have any shame in using an in-game piece. I was having a look through and I found this, and it was just a perfect shape and size, and I just thought, well, you know what, someone else has built it, but it's a lovely piece. It's exactly what I want, so why not use it? Why not take advantage of someone else's hard work, because it really does look really good. So yeah, very very happy to have found that and to be able to use it. One thing that I did do on here, which I thought was quite clever of me, was these round pieces here, which, as you can see, I've put on these angled walls, and that wasn't easy, believe me. And what I've had to do is put the round piece on. If I can highlight it, which I can't, it's very hard. You see, this makes it even harder. So that is a round piece which is on the flat bit of the wall, and obviously it sinks into the wall. And then what I've had to do is put a second piece in, which again I won't be able to highlight probably, it's very hard. There we go. So there's a second piece there which sticks backwards into the wall like that, and then I've just had to sync them up so that they match, and it looks like one circle piece, which just goes on a bit of an angle. Yeah, I was pretty pleased with how that turned out actually. I think that looks pretty good. Obviously you've done it the same there as well. Yeah, I thought that was quite clever. I was very proud of myself when I did that. Oh dear, so easily pleased, I really am. And obviously this is just copied on each side. So there we go, that is our big entrance area. So it's pretty big and grand and over the top, but that's kind of what I'm going for in this zoo. Very heavily themed and in your face, look at me, I'm an Asian building, deal with it kind of thing. So what I wanted to do leading to that, I didn't want to just do a pathway that came up here, because I had a bit of an idea of what I could do in this area here, which was to create a sort of a Chinese garden. So I'll talk about that a bit more as we go along actually, I think. Yeah, so let me load up the next save point, and then I can start explaining exactly what I was trying to do. Right, so this was my basic design that I had in mind, which was a nice wide path coming out here in nice smooth curves and eventually leading through the archway here. And as you can see, there are more pathways here, and what I'm doing here, the Chinese are known for their minimalist gardens, and there's an awful lot of gravel involved. They make these lovely gravel gardens where they use sticks and rakes to make patterns in the gravel. It's a Zen kind of thing. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than I can explain. I'm no expert. I've just seen it, and I can appreciate the beauty of it and the effort and the time that goes into it. They have these gardens like this where they go out and they rake the gravel in a different way every day. And so, like, if they have a round thing sitting in the gravel there like a stone, they put circles in it, slowly getting wider, so it looks like ripples in the gravel, and it's absolutely amazing. It really is. And it's so they're very minimalist, very simple, very basic, but really quite stunning. Not always a lot of plants. A lot of it is just lots of gravel with these lines in, water features, little fountains and things like that. So that's what I'm going for here. That's the sort of effect. And the only way I can do that, I thought, was by using this gravel pathway to create a sort of a gravel flower bed in the middle here, and then obviously covering up all the edges and all the holes like this with rocks. So that was what I was attempting. Ignore this this bridge. I just plonked it down here. I was just thinking of trying to use it somewhere, but I don't think I end up using it here at all. Actually, I might possibly use it over here. I can't quite remember, but it was just plonked down there for now. But yeah, so that was my theory of what I wanted to try and do, and so this was the first thing that I started here. You know, it turns out really nicely. Obviously, at this stage, it looks a bit weird, but actually, it does turn out really good in the end. I was very, very happy with it. But yeah, it's simple. So if I suspect you all know how to do this kind of thing with paths, but just in case there's anyone watching that's new to the game, obviously, if you try and build a path next to another path, it doesn't work. It just tries to connect it to that. But if you hold down the control button, you can do this, and you can move it out, and then you can just put it down. And if you just keep on holding, I think you have to keep holding the control button, and you can actually, let's just put that down to length 1, and you can obviously, you know, you need to turn the fencing off. But yeah, you see if I let go the control button, it tries to link it in. You hold the control button and it lets you move it around. So you can do it like that. So yeah, so that's how you do that, just by holding the control button down. Very simple, but it does allow you to build pathways like this right next to each other, which is very helpful in certain situations, especially one like this. So there we go, just a little tutorial for you there in case you didn't know that. Right, so let me load up the next section, and we'll see what I do next. So I've covered up the edges of our gravel border now, and it looks so much nicer like this. It looks like a proper gravel garden now, as opposed to a path. And I decided to go with these mossy rocks, and that's mainly because things in China like this, they get built and then they stay the same for decades and decades. They you know, a lot of their gardens are very ancient, and so I wanted to go with the mossy rocks, just to give it that feeling of age, like it's been here for a long time. Actually, I'll just notice there's a little gap there. I can't remember if I fill that up later or not. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, so that's what the mossy rocks do. It gives it that impression that it's been there for a long time. Now around the outside, I've gone with these plants. I can't remember what this one is. The dwarf cornel plant. Yeah, there we go. The reason I've done that is I didn't want to duplicate with the rocks outside here. It would make it almost look like this was a flower bed. The pathway was a flower bed as well, which I didn't want. I wanted this middle area to have its own edge, which was specific to the gravel. And so what I've done is use this plant. I've gone with the simple plant, because this is the sort of thing that you find in these gardens. You don't find a lot of colour, certainly not from plants. You'd find colour from trees. Obviously they're known for their maple trees over there, which we'll get to later in the zoo, I promise. Actually, probably later in this episode, I think. So yeah, so they go in for these simple plants like this, small flowers. Quite understated, not really sort of in your face, but they're functional. You know, they're just doing a job. In this case, they're lining the edge of the path. And at the moment, yeah, again, it looks a bit odd, but once I start doing more stuff around the outside, you'll sort of realise that it does work. The rocks themselves, just completely randomised, just plonking them down. Takes a little bit of time filling in all the little gaps and rotating and everything, but it works out okay. You know, just get the odd one dotted here and there. And yeah, it's worth it in the end. It's quite time consuming, but it's the effect is really nice. And so once I got to this stage, I kind of thought, well, what am I going to put in here? Because there's not a huge amount of stuff in the game that you can use as statues in an Asian area, actually, because I didn't want just like animal statues or whatever. I wanted more Asian looking things, and there's not a lot in it really. Yeah, so well, I'll load up the next section and you'll see. I think that's probably the next section where I decide what to put in here. Yeah, let's take a look, shall we? Yeah, so I'll load up the next bit, and I think it's probably me filling in this this middle area. Let's find out. Right, so yes, you can see there was not a lot that I could put in this middle area. So I'll put a little fountain in. So this is a piece that I've sunken into the ground here, and just put a little water fountain in. Really simple. And the reason I sunk it into the ground is because they don't really go for high up things. I mean, they do, but in a garden like this, if you were walking around this garden, they wouldn't want you looking up to a fountain. They would want you looking down into a fountain, which is why I put it sunk down into the ground like this. I did think about actually sinking it further, but I kind of liked the look of it up like that. So that's why I've done that. And then you've got this statue here. This is a beautiful piece. I just wish there were more like this, because this is exactly the sort of statue that you expect to see in a garden like this. I haven't filled that little gap in, have I? I'll have to keep an eye on that. I reckon I've probably gone and done loads of work in this zoo and never quite filled that little gap in there. I might have to come back and do that. Right, anyway, yeah, so this piece is fantastic. I just wish we had more like this that I could use. There is one other version of this, but it's a small one, and it's a lamp. I don't know what this one is. It is a lantern, but it's not a lantern. I mean, I don't think it actually lights up. I might be wrong there. No, it doesn't. You could probably make it light up. You could probably put a little light inside it somehow. But I didn't want it as a lamp because I put lamps in elsewhere anyway. So that was sort of all I could do, because like I said, I didn't want to put animal statues in here because I thought I might use them elsewhere in the zoo, and there wasn't really a lot of choice for the Asian animals anyway. Quite a few of the Asian animals were put in later in the game. They weren't with the initial game, and they haven't done proper nice stone statue versions of all the animals, unfortunately. That is something I really wish they would add to the game, is more statues. But there we go. That's life, isn't it? You can't always get what you want. So I thought, let's go with a bit of colour in the middle, in the form of these lovely cherry blossom trees. This is what certainly Japan are known for, these cherry blossom trees. So that's what I've done in here. So yeah, so you've got the medium one there, you've got the small one there, and then this one over here. I wanted to do something a bit different. So you've actually got a couple of them combined here. So you've got a medium one there inside a large one, and it just creates a whole new tree doing that. It's a technique that I use quite a lot with trees. Actually, there's a small one there as well. Yeah, so you've got 3 trees there on top of each other, and you end up creating a whole new look for a tree. It's a really simple technique, but it's certainly effective because it looks like one big tree. So yeah, try it. Something else that I often do as well, say this tree here would be a good example. So this is just one tree. If you do Control and X, and then you just turn it, and you can kind of move the trunks a little bit just so it all sort of blends together, and place it like that. Boom, there you go. You just by turning it on top of itself, you've created a whole new looking tree. It's a very, very simple thing to do, but very effective, and it can mean that you can create more trees of the same type out of whatever's existing in the game. So yeah, there we go. One more little tip for you there. Right, and then I decided to do a bit of tree work, obviously, as you can see, around the outside. Again, I didn't want it too dense, and I just wanted it nice and simple, really tidy looking trees. That's what they do a lot of in certainly China and Japan, are these sort of very straight conifer trees, because they're very formal looking, and these gardens are the complete pinnacle of formality. Basically, they're very smart, very perfect. Every stone is placed by hand. Every bit of, like I say, the gravel is raked by hand, and everything is just trimmed to perfection over there. I've seen documentaries about gardeners in Japan where they're on their hands and knees cutting grass with scissors and stuff like that. I mean, it's just absolute perfection. So that's what I wanted to do here. Lots of nice, tidy, straight lines. So various different conifers you've got here. I think they're all just the different types of cypress, and then you've got these big yellow ones, which are the Dahurian larch. I have never heard of that in real life, but I thought it looked pretty cool. Just to add a bit of variety in the colour, basically. That's what they're there for. So yeah, I think if you sort of zoom out, you can kind of you get that formal feeling. I mean, there's still much more that I do. I wanted it enclosed, so that is something that I do. I do put a wall around both sides, and obviously a bit more detailing in and amongst all of this as well. Not too much, but I had a bit of an idea. I wanted some more water in here, so that's why I've left this area here empty. So let me load up my next save point and see what I do next. It's probably this area here, but I can't quite remember. Yeah, so here we go. This is what I wanted to do in here. A small pond. Nothing in it at all. Very simple. Again, this is a very Japanesey thing. They have these bits of water. They're perfectly clear water. There's no fish. I mean, yes, they might put some fish in, but if you have fish in there, then you've got to have filtration units and stuff like that. So a lot of the time you will just find standing water, clear, no plants, no anything. Again, surrounded by rocks. I wanted to continue that nice mossy theme of the rocks. And then I decided to put the extra path of gravel around the outside as well to create almost like a whole new garden, and then just continued this plant as well around the outside. A couple of little stones just dotted in. This is something they do a lot over there. It's like a feng shui type thing, where they have these individually placed rocks in the gravel representing different things. Like I said, I'm no expert, but it's a very common thing that you see over there. And then this tree in the middle, which I absolutely love. What is this one? The Japanese maple. Beautiful tree. And I wanted that. I didn't want to just put another one of these pink ones in the cherry blossoms. I wanted it to be the other type, and this is the other main colourful sort of Japanesey tree that we have in the game. So that's what I've gone with, just sitting in a pile of rocks there. So again, really simple, but it just fills that corner in nicely. It just looks really nice. And then I've just done a little bit more detailing as well. These are the other little lights that are in the game, the little Asian lampposts. So I've dotted them all around the inside of the pathway, and then I've alternated it with this sort of hanging lantern that I've created, and that's just a simple thing. So it's a New World banner post there, and then this East Asia wall light, which is connected at the top there, and then I've just put them alternated around the pathway. All the way up to here. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of that middle section done now. That's really all I do in there. I think I do put some benches and bins in as well, actually, so that people could have a sit down and relax in this garden. So the last thing I needed to do was to put a wall around the outside, and I think that's probably the last thing that I do. So let me load up, I think, my last save point and see the finished product. Here we go, our finished entrance area to our new Ziran Zoo. So the little detail that I put in here were these benches. So that's just the in-game bench with the in-game bin, and then I found this piece, this picnic canopy, and I just thought it looked really nice as a backing to the benches. It doesn't obviously provide any shelter or anything, it just looks cool. So that's what I've done all around the outside here, just dotted them. Kind of like these ones that they've actually got the plants growing around them. I quite like that. Not necessarily how it would be in Japan. I think they would probably trim these plants back perfectly, but I kind of like the way they blended together a little bit, so I forgave myself that little indulgence. And then around the outside I've created this custom wall, which encircles the whole place. Obviously stops people escaping into the zoo that way. They have to go through this archway to get in. So this is just a custom wall, so it's just an individual piece duplicated many times, and again it's very simple. It's sort of timber columns, these side columns. It's this these lovely red pieces just just mixed together here. The bottom one, obviously, you can see is on the angled part of the stone wall. Again, just beams at the bottom. All shows through at the back, but I thought that looked fine as a back. So yeah, it's really simple, and I, as you can see, I've just created a whole wall out of it. It just goes all the way around here. Oh yes, and this was the other thing, because I wanted it to sort of blend into the building here. In fact, I needed to make that meet. I think I might come along and do that later on. I think I built it, and then I actually come back later and realised that I'd left a bit of a gap, and I wasn't too sure about that. But yeah, so what I needed to do was just adjust this. So I built this this extra bit of roofing and these extra wall pieces here to make these side pieces so that the wall segments could connect to this flat bit, because with this this overhanging ceiling piece here, I couldn't get this wall to connect to the building and actually look good. So you've got these extra pieces on the side of the building here, just so that the wall can connect to it. But I think that looks fine. I'm more than happy with how that looks. You know, it looks like it's done on purpose, kind of thing. Not like I've just stuck it there so that the wall can connect to a flat bit of stone. But yeah, that's there we go. That's our entrance. So that is our opening episode of the zoo. I've had a lot of fun with this zoo, I'll tell you. I've already done quite a lot of work inside here. But this entrance actually is probably my favourite part of the zoo that I've done so far. That's not really selling the next episodes to you, is it? But I did have a lot of fun doing this, and this gravel garden worked out better than I hoped as well. I think it does look really nice. So yeah, I'm very happy with how it all turned out. So next episode, I can tell you straight away, the next episode is based around this lovely rock formation here. And it is going to be an enclosure for a family of Bengal tigers. And it's it's pretty spectacular, actually. Using this lovely cliff face here, I create a lovely waterfall coming down off of this, and a cave in the back for the tigers. And they do have this entire area to walk around, so it's a lovely big enclosure. So there we go. There's our little spoiler for the next episode. But for now, that's going to be it for this episode. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully you can continue joining me in this new zoo as our new adventure in this game, and seeing what I can come up with, all sorts of different creative ideas. So yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for joining me, and I do hope you stay well until I see you again. And in fact, before I go, I've just noticed something. Forgive me. I'll say goodbye again in a minute. Look, I put some water lilies in the water. I'd totally forgotten that I did that. Yeah, again, it's a whimsy thing. I think I just love the look of the water lilies, and I just thought, no, do you know what, I want water lilies. You do see it, you know, they do have water lilies in China and Japan. They do use them a lot. It's a very popular thing over there, so I think I could forgive myself. See, this is the problem when I record these things so long after actually doing the building work. I forget what I do. And why I do it half the time as well. Sorry about that. So there we go. So I have actually put some stuff in the water there. But I swear what I was telling you was true about them using just still water. They do it a lot, I promise. There we go. Anyway, so sorry, that is the end of this episode. So thank you very much for joining me. I do hope I can see you again soon. Until then, do take care. Bye for now.